do you think? Should we even try to start this thing? That's still a no-go. But we already knew that. The carbs on this thing are absolutely destroyed. But this is the CB750. Pretty cool. It's about halfway done. Just got all the top half done with this beautiful blue color. And this little cafe seat. But yeah, the quadruple carbs on this thing are gone. I've had them rebuilt twice now, and they just keep going, man. These old style carbs are just, some people have really good luck with them. I do not. So I think what I'm going to do is go with a 2 to 4 carb kit. So there's a guy who makes a manifold that goes from 2 to 1 on each half of the motor. So there's 2 carburetors to mess with instead of 4. And they're also much newer and easier to get to. So I think that's going to be the direction we go with this thing. But a little bit of a scrambler cafe build. Got some aggressive tires on it. Plenty of travel in the back with these little piggybacks. And yeah, I mean, really for this thing, it's going to be the carbs, and then just going to be putting some miles on it before I start tearing things back down. But let's go take a ride on the Magna, run some errands. What do you guys think? Alright, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. We've been blessed today with just a little bit of cloud coverage, so I had to get on the bike and go for a ride for a couple of reasons. One, because I've got to soak up any and all opportunities I get to ride this thing before it gets super hot. And two, is a 750, in particular this bike, the Magna 750, strong enough, fast enough, powerful enough, whatever you want to call it, to go on the highway, to go on the freeway, go on a long trip, commute far if you have to. Basically the question is a 649 cc, or excuse me, a 749 cc, this is a 750, so a 749 cc bike, is it enough to be able to take you on the highway without getting buzzy, without being slow on the highway or freeway, wherever you're at, things like that? So we're going to answer that, because I'm actually headed to Phoenix right now to grab some lunch, and it's a little bit of a trek, and we got to go on, I think, 4 separate freeways or 3 separate freeways to get to where I want to go. So we're going to hop on the 202 right now, and we're going to show you just exactly how this thing does, and whether or not I would recommend it to somebody as an all-around bike rather than just a bar hopper or a smaller cruiser. And there we are. So we're doing 65 right now. We're sitting at 4,500 RPMs, super comfortable. I've got plenty of range to go, plenty of power to go, no big deal. So if you're doing a lot of traffic on this bike, or maybe you live in an area where there is a lot of traffic and the freeway doesn't really go that fast, then I would say, yeah, this is plenty of power, plenty of bike for you. And this is stock gearing, by the way. So it's a 16, I believe it's a 16 front sprocket and a 44 rear is what these come with stock, if I'm not mistaken. Now here's where the tricky part comes in with where I live specifically. So here in Arizona, a lot of the freeways are either newer, or recently redone. Like almost all of them. This is actually one of the smaller sections of the freeways, meaning that it's only 3 lanes and an HOV lane, whereas like right now it just opened up to 4 lanes. But in Arizona specifically, the freeways are pretty big, they're pretty smooth, they're pretty nice. We're very fortunate here to have really nice longer stretches of road. But because of that, a lot of people will go really, really fast. So it is not uncommon to start moving along at 85, 90 miles an hour sometimes, and everybody else on the freeway is also doing 85 or 90 miles an hour. That's when it becomes a little bit tricky on whether or not this is a good bike for the highway. It'll do 85, 90, it'll do 120 if I wanted to. It'll only do it for a couple of seconds, but this bike will go 75 comfortably all day long. Now, once you get up to 85, a couple of different things happen. One, the wind becomes kind of annoying. I don't specifically have any sort of windshield. It's not an overly aerodynamic bike. I'm also on a solo seat, so there's a lot of things going against me with the way that I made this bike as far as comfortability. But when I'm going 65 to 75, it's honestly pretty comfortable. I can ride this thing the full 60 miles, 65 miles before I have to get off and fill it up anyways. So that's kind of something to keep in mind, is like, yeah, it's important to be comfortable, but you only need to be comfortable for as long as the bike will run, because you're gonna have to get off to fill it up anyways. So that's one of the reasons I felt justified in being able to take the rear suspension off, put a solo seat with airbags on it, because I can always stretch out at a gas station, give my butt a little rest. But right now we're going to hop onto the main 101, and this is where the freeway gets wide. This is the one they most recently redid, and this is the one where people will usually travel at around 75 to 85 all day long, pretty much any time of the day, especially if I'm going to hop into the HOV lane. So alright, so I'm already, boom, right there is 85. I'm sitting at about 5,500 RPMs, and right about here on this specific bike is when it gets just a little bit buzzy. Again, it is nothing unbearable by any means, but to be honest, $5,000 is right where this bike's happy zone is. So 75 to 78 sits you right at about 5,000 to 5,300 RPMs, and that is super comfortable for this bike. The wind's not too much for me, I'm not uncomfortable, the motor's not buzzy, but again, I mean, people are still going past me. There's this truck that's about to go around me. I'm not going slow, and these people are all going, like even right now, I'm going 85, and both of these cars are going, I don't know, 90. So you're kind of stuck no matter what you do. Like, your choices are basically go 90 and not get passed by anybody, and wrap the bike out just a little bit. So right now I'm going 90, and I'm at 6K, which again, still isn't awful. It's a little bit buzzy, but I can do this for, I don't know, 5 or 6 miles before I get annoyed with it. So it just kind of depends on where you live, to be honest. If you have a really, really open freeway system that travels really fast, like we do sometimes here in AZ, you might want to consider re-gearing or getting a little bit bigger of a bike if you're going to be doing absolutely nothing but highway riding. And even still, it'll do it. But again, it only gets about 60 miles to the tank for me, 65 miles to the tank. So if you're doing a lot of highway riding, this probably isn't the bike you want to get anyways. Alright, we made it off the freeway. No issues at all. Luckily the cloud cover stayed, so it really wasn't too hot of a ride. We have approached kind of a rougher area here in Phoenix, which of course means that it's the best area to get tacos. No risk, no reward, am I right? But I'm gonna go ahead and end the video right here. Share it if you dig it. I'm gonna keep on releasing some videos. Hopefully this footage comes out pretty good with the cloud coverage here. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.